If you're interested in keeping a healthy spine and a healthy back, there are multiple things to consider. There are things that you should do more of and things that you should absolutely avoid. Probably one of the most important things to avoid are placing postural stresses and strains on the spine. This includes positions where you're flexed too much forward. So this is where people round their back too much. Happens with prolonged sitting, people that sit a lot at work. Usually when people bend over to pick things up, there's too much flexion in their back, they don't bend properly. Excessive flexion on the spine can increase pressures on discs by up to 80%. So these postural positions where we're flexed too much and we're not upright can wreak havoc on the spine. The next thing is what people probably should do more of are some basic simple stretches on their spine. This means getting more flexion and more extension. So in yoga, there is a pose or a posture, a movement called a cat-cow or a cat-camel. This is where people are on all fours, they're on their hands and their knees, and they just flex and they extend. They go back and forth. And I've got plenty of videos in the information section below, so you can check that out on all of these things that I'm talking about. But you want to maintain a healthy range of motion. This may also include, if some people are too stiff, too tight, too restricted, they might want to see a chiropractor, a massage therapist, a physical therapist for stretching to be employed, spinal manipulations, myofascial release, or massage kinds of techniques and things like that can help just limber up and loosen up the spine. The next thing is, of course, strengthening the spine. The spine without the postural muscles are just a bag of bones. They're just going to crumble, they're just going to break and fall. It is the muscles that hold everything in place and keep us upright. So doing the proper strengthening exercises. The foundational exercises, there are the planks, side planks. Again, in yoga, there's something called a bird dog. When you're on all fours, on your hands and knees, you bring one arm out and one leg out. And then certain bridges where you lay on your back and bring your hips up. And again, I've got a video link below that you can check some of these exercises out. These are the basics. These are the basics in any yoga class. These are the basics in any physical therapy, any patient that comes into my office. This is usually where I start somebody who's deconditioned or hasn't worked out in a while. One final thing to consider that's overlooked a lot, of course, is diet, nutrition. There are certain foods that we can eat that are inflammatory and they cause systemic inflammation, or it's also called metaflammation. Inflammation is what is responsible for pain, but it can also just speed up the degenerative process in the spine and anywhere else in the body. So it's really just a matter of avoiding certain foods, and those foods are, of course, the foods that taste delicious. These are the refined foods, a lot of your sugars and refined carbohydrates and things like that. It's pretty much most things that come in a bag, a box, a can, anything like that. You're better off eating whole foods, shopping the perimeter of grocery stores and things like that. Now again, I do have a blog post below, things like what's the deal with gluten, refined foods in the overfed state, and what the hell can I eat? So those are just some simple strategies to consider to keep your spine as healthy as possible. As always, if you have any questions, please let us know.